Rejection hurts. I was recently watching a video and they had asked the question, how do I get over the hurt and feeling of rejection because someone threw away something I made for them? As a person who has also made a bunch of gifts, I've also had some rejection along the way. It's possible you have too. So I thought we could take a minute and talk about rejection, how it applies to us as fiber artists, crocheters, knitters, whatever, and what we can do about it. When I saw the title to that video, it kind of resonated with me because I am a thrifter. I love going to thrift shops and walking around, and I'm going to be honest, I have seen a lot of blankets, hats, scarves, everything in thrift shops that I can tell are, handmade, crocheted or knitted. And sometimes I try to save these items. If it's a color or a pattern or a fiber I like, I will buy it, even though I could make it myself. I'm going to overlay a little bit of footage right here of a trip I made to a thrift store, and I'll link the video as well, where I'm kind of showing some of the blankets that were in the thrift store that particular day I was there, and pretty much all of them were marked at $4. And you know what? Good luck getting a skein of yarn, like one skein for $4 anymore. So whether or not these people know that their items that they handcrafted were rejected or not, who knows? But I know that it does happen, and in my own life, I have had it a couple times that I know of. So I'm going to be a little bit ambiguous. Don't think anyone in my family would watch this, but just in case, I'm going to kind of keep it vague. I made some hats for someone because they were going through some medical procedures and weren't going to be able to do their hair and stuff like that. So I had asked them, what type of yarn they wanted. Like I had showed them a couple styles, of hat, and they kind of picked it out. And long story short, I ended up finding them in their house unused like a few years later. So there is that. It was not an instant rejection. It was a delayed rejection. I have had a couple things like returned to me immediately because like the fit, which I get that. I mean, if something just isn't going to fit, I totally get that. It's not like a personal rejection. It's just, I guess them being honest and not wanting to, have something and then just hang on to it and never use it. But then the last thing that I can speak of is I was at an event with cousins, and you can see how I'm trying to be vague. This person asked me, they showed me a picture of a blanket and it had a bunch of animals on it. And they were like, will you make this for me? And I was like, no, because it would have been so much work. It was like an immense amount of yarn. There was tons of details. And I have gotten to the point now where I can say no to projects when people ask them for me. I've actually got a video I will link up here if you are struggling with that. But what got me is that then this cousin said, well, can you make me a blanket with one of this animal on it? And my heart sunk because I had actually already made them a blanket with one of that animal on it. It was about a year and a half prior to this event. I made it specifically for them. I had asked, what color of yarn, like I had gotten a lot of details from this person. And then I had given it to them, and, they said thank you, but never heard anything else out of them or anything. I guess I was just kind of hurt when they were like they clearly had no recollection that I had already made them that blanket with that animal on it. So to me, that just said they didn't value it at all. My guess is it was either in that person's trunk and had been driving around with it for a year and a half, or they had gifted it to someone like immediately and, never gave it another thought. And since, like I said, we were at this cousin's thing, I did not want to pick a fight at all, and I did not want to make a scene, and I didn't want to embarrass the person. I mean, maybe they would have. I've been embarrassed. I don't know. But it was just something where like I said, my heart sunk. I was taken aback, just disappointed. That's the risks when you make something for someone. You risk them not wanting it, not appreciating it, not understanding it. Or even if they do appreciate it, you also kind of risk them ruining it, because you don't really know that they're going to treat it in a manner that you would treat a handmade gift. Just as far as usage and washing and all of that stuff. So I guess my thought on this is I have really tried to come to terms with the fact of when I gift something to someone, I have to be okay with the fact that it is serving its purpose by me giving it to them. And once I have given it to that person, it has fulfilled its purpose. And what happens next to that item is up to the universe. Just so that I feel a little bit okay with that, because I don't want that eating me up inside. I don't want to create resentment. In the video I watched, the person asking the question about, what do I do? I'm so hurt that they threw my gift away. It was stopping them from doing their craft. Like, it had been, I think, like quite a while since they had done it. And I personally don't want to give that power to someone else. I don't want someone else to be able to take away my joy and my passion for these things. And I don't want to hand that power over to someone else. I don't want to let them be able to ruin something that brings me joy. So I'm trying to keep that also in perspective, and just know that you can't always trust people that they're going to appreciate and love your gift or understand what you put into it. And it definitely can be heartbreaking. It definitely hurts. So what I have done to kind of help combat this in my life is I've been a lot more selective who and what I make things for. So I did make some beanies for a bunch of family members last Christmas time, and that was fine. I had yarn on hand. I wasn't using my premium stock, but I was using yarn that was nice enough that it still would feel good wearing, because I don't want it to be like something given away because I used a really like scratchy cheap yarn or something like that. But I definitely limited my gifts to things that were of a smaller economic value and a smaller time value, so that if something were to happen to that item, I would not be as heartbroken. I did use a fair amount of yarns that I had gotten at a Hobby Lobby annual sale, so they were nicer yarns, but I only paid like $1.24 for them. And so to me, that really helped kind of take that edge off and take some of that potential risk away from it. So the next thing is, really limit who you make gifts for. And I'm not willing to make something for someone I don't know real well. Meaning, like, I don't think I would do like a wedding present for like a niece or nephew or something like that. Like a big project like that you put a lot of time and effort and money into, it would have to be someone in my immediate family for me to devote that into, because like I said, you just don't know how they're going to react to such a thing. I'm not giving anything to people where I know they regift. And I think that we all kind of have someone in our friend or family group where they're kind of known for that, whether they admit it and talk about it, or you've just seen things that they've had regifted. And like there's one individual in my family who is definitely a chronic regifter. And so I just know, like, I'm not going to make anything for that person. Like, if I need to get that person a gift, they're getting like a Target gift card, because I'm not willing to put that thought into it. I'm not willing to put my heart and soul into a project because I believe the risk for that getting regifted is quite high. And then another thing I've done is I have cut way back the amount of items that I'm creating and gifting. So the first several years I was crocheting a lot of stuff just because I wanted to learn techniques. I wanted to learn new stitches. I wanted to learn new patterns. But the problem was I was real like hodgepodge with what yarns I had. I was trying to build my yarn stash, and I was trying to like thrift a bunch of yarn, and I love thrifting yarn, but it's hard a lot of times to get more than a skein if you're thrifting. So I had a lot of like one-off type things, and this led to me having a bunch of yarns that were like maybe stuff that I personally it just wasn't going to work in my wardrobe. And since I was doing, like different styles of things, like men's beanies and different things, like I needed to gift these things out. I found that I was kind of giving them to people that I knew, like from my work, and it was kind of weird because like I didn't really know them well enough to give them a gift. And so they were like kind of surprised and confused. And then for me to just be like, oh, well, I crochet a lot and, whatever, it I think may have made it a little awkward because, we weren't at a gift giving level in our relationship, like much more work acquaintances. And so it was weird. I probably made things weird. And then giving things to my immediate family. I know my husband has more hats than he could ever wear. He's got decades worth of hats that just sit around because he's not, like in the winter, I wear hats like pretty much every day as a fashion thing. He is not. He is when he goes outside, he puts a beanie on and takes it off. So he has more beanies than he could probably ever use. And my daughter is always super gracious when I give her things, but I could tell that she was even getting a little bit gifted out by things. Like she just didn't have a purpose for all of the things that I was giving her. It might be different if there was little ones in our family. My daughter's an adult, but she doesn't have children at this point, and so it's like I'm not dealing with someone like constantly outgrowing items. Like everybody's pretty much who they are. So yeah, I have definitely reduced the amount of things that I do crochet, basically because I'm not out there, just trying to learn constantly. The other thing is I've really switched up things here on my YouTube channel. When I started, I was kind of like in that hamster wheel of like, I need to be producing, I need to have whips videos all the time, and I need to constantly be showing you the new yarns I've used and what I've done with it. And that led to me creating a lot of projects that I had no use for. So again, it's like, now I have to give these things out. And that is just something that I have reduced. If you are interested in seeing some of the like whips and stuff that I'm doing, definitely sign up to my free monthly email. I've got a link down in the description box, and I usually send it out by the 5th of the month. The past couple months, I have had some, basically like about an hour's worth of vlog content in there, like broken up into 2 videos, where I will show you a lot more of what I am working on and that stuff in there. There'll be one coming out in August, September in both of those newsletters, and then in October I will be switching things up a little bit, and we'll go over that a different time. But yeah, if you're interested in some of the like day-to-day what I'm working on projects, sign up for that email. I would love it. But I've also really been this past year trying to be a lot more specific about the yarn and the projects I'm doing. And I have really focused my crochet efforts on myself. And as a person who is like a recovering people pleaser, it is hard for me, and I almost feel guilty about like flat out saying I'm making projects for me and nobody else. Whether you agree with that or don't, that we are all on our separate journeys. I have found that obviously I love yarn and crochet because here I am. And I enjoy making a lot of my own accessories. And for me, it's saved me money by just buying yarns that I love and that I can make things for myself out of. In the beginning, I was buying yarn with other people in mind, and then I either never got around to making the project, or, you know, the person's interest changes or whatever it is. And so here I was with yarn in my stash that I wouldn't wear myself. So I have refocused my efforts in my yarn acquisitions on yarns that I love and I know I will wear, and I know I can mix and match with my clothing items, and looking pretty much only for patterns that suit me and my style and what I'm looking for. And like I said, there is still part of me that feels a little bit cringy or like I'm selfish for just wanting to crochet for myself. And I know in reality that's not true. Honestly, by working on projects for me instead of vaguely working on projects for other people, it has benefited me. Like I said, economically, I've gotten some awesome pieces for my wardrobe, and it has also limited the risk for my projects being rejected by other people. So please know that if you have had a project get rejected, you are not alone. It's definitely happened to me, and I'm sure it has also happened to a lot of other people on here. And, you know, it's also happening, like I said, to people in other niches and, you know, totally different other crafts. So, I mean, how many times have you seen something in like a thrift store where, you know, it's been, you can tell like this t-shirt was specifically made for someone by the lettering somebody, you know, put on there with their Cricut, or, you know, like an item, Becky's Kitchen, like that type of stuff, where there it is in the thrift store. So yeah, it doesn't just happen to us crocheters. It's pretty much everybody, but it definitely hurts equally. So I hope this video can help if you have been stung by rejection, and just know you're not alone, and hopefully these couple tips that I have shared can help you in the future. So thank you so much for talking yarn with me. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to hearing from you down in the comments. Bye.